What's the tea, y'all? It is a new day in the workroom, and we are reviewing RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 8, Episode 9. It's the makeover episode. I don't know the official title. I never do. We've been here all season, acting like y'all know, okay? I've already stated I don't really know why we're still doing episodes, but it's fun. I like when we do new stuff. So I do like that there's a top 2 now, and we're gonna see what happens. But before we even get to the top 2, we have 3, and we're doing makeover challenges, and they are making over lesbians, which I think is fun because I definitely do agree that there, like they said in the episode, there tends to be like a do I want to use the word divide? Like a divide or like a separation, right? Like it's kind of like the lesbians are over here and then the gay community is over here. So I like that they combined those two powers into an episode. I thought that that was interesting. There's not like a huge thing to talk about as it pertains to the workroom, but what I did know is that I really liked the conversation that they had around the F word and the D word, two terms that can be considered derogatory for each respective community, right? The D word with the lesbian community and the F word with the gay community. I loved that conversation. I honestly was thinking about it the whole time because the words were being used. Being a part of the gay community, I hear the F word a lot, and I've used the F word like in banter with friends and stuff like that. What I will say is my own personal opinion, like I just said, I've used the F word in banter with friends, but I do have certain friends that don't like that word. I think Jimbo's the one that said it. Like it just kind of, I don't remember. It may have been Jimbo. It just depends on the person receiving it, how they feel, and I think that that applies to a lot of things in life. So there's some people that don't mind the word, and there's some people that do. So I think that that's kind of how you approach it, and that's how I approach it. So, like I said, I have gay male friends that have said flat out like they don't like the F word. So I just wouldn't use it with them. And then there are, friends that don't mind it, so you can use it with them. But I also would never call somebody that anyway, even if like I've used the word, but I've never like called somebody that, even if it was just like a banter or like a kiki, because I don't like that use of it. So I can't see myself like calling somebody that or saying that to somebody like to define them or anything like that. So that's my use of that word. In terms of the D word, I don't remember who said it, but I'm not a part of the lesbian community, and so I just don't feel like it's for me to use, so I wouldn't use it. I also have friends that are in the lesbian community, and they haven't, I don't know that we've had a conversation around the word, but I know specifically, I'm thinking of one friend off the top of my head. I know specifically they don't like that word. So same thing. Like I don't use it in general, but I just wouldn't use it. So I like that they had that conversation, and there were so many different perspectives from the queens and from the guests there. Were like, well, I like the word, or I don't like the word, or this is the context that I use, or this is how I consider it. I think that that's an important conversation, and I love that they had it, especially because the words were being used and before they even had the conversation, because it was later in the episode. I was thinking like, is there anybody in the room that's taking offense to this? You know what I'm saying? Because even outside of the people that are on camera, we have people that are behind the cameras and behind the scenes, and they may be a part of the communities. How do they feel about it? And then we have viewers. Even you have viewers, when you hear words, right? Like they hit you differently. So I like that they had that conversation, and I thought that that was good. I loved that, and I loved, just like I said, I love seeing like the combination of the lesbian community and the gay community, and them just talking about these things. And it was also interesting because I do acknowledge that some people just use those words, and they didn't really know that there was a big, dispute about it, or they didn't know that they were taken as derogatory. Some people don't know. So I like conversations like that. I enjoyed that. The other thing with regard to like the workroom stuff that we can talk about, it was noteworthy to me that Jimbo's the lady that Jimbo had, she just didn't really want to do the clown aesthetic, and I hated that. Not that I think that she was doing anything wrong, because I wouldn't say that, and I don't think that she was being negative about it. I think that she was just giving her input, and I do like that all three queens were committed to making their, the lady that they had comfortable. And I like that it mattered, and I like that they considered them. But at the same time, it's like, it's their competition, and it's also top three. Like, this is so important. And so I think that if I were Jimbo, probably would have had to sit down and have a conversation with her and say, I understand where you're coming from, and not necessarily make the decision for them, but just express, like, this is a competition. The clown aesthetic is more so my aesthetic. Um, and this is a risk that we run if we play it safe, so to speak, and then allowing them to give more feedback and make the decision. Because I think if you would have painted it that way, I think that she would have been like, okay, I understand, I'll do the clown aesthetic. I don't want to, and I'm not necessarily comfortable with it, but I understand that this is something that you need in order to be successful in this challenge. So I think that that's the approach I would have taken. But I do like that Jimbo was just like, okay, you don't like it, you're not comfortable with it, we won't do it. But I was just like, I just already knew, like, it just wasn't going to go as well as it maybe should have. But I think that they still did fine, but we'll get into that now when we do the runways. So, in no particular order, because I don't remember the order from the episode. First, we have Jessica Wilde and Kitty Wilde. I liked these looks actually. I heard some notes from other people with, like, the costumes and the fact that they're like the different patterns, very different patterns, maybe different fabric as well. That didn't bother me. I liked it. It specifically when I first saw Kitty's makeup and wig, even in the workroom, I was like, oh, it's definitely giving Jessica, which I liked. So I'm like, okay, I can see the likeness. It seems like Jessica just flat out painted Kitty how Jessica would paint herself. So I thought that that was good. Obviously, definitely hate the shoes on Kitty, but I understand, again, there was such large consideration given to the comfortability of these ladies and their ability. And I know that there was, tea that Jessica had to ask for more shoes for the ladies because Kitty in particular had very small feet. So, those other heels weren't working. The heels provided weren't working for Kitty. And yeah, I've never worn heels, but I can imagine if you're wearing heels that don't fit, that can be dangerous and you can hurt yourself. So I like that the consideration was given. Again, though, same note I just gave for Jimbo's lady, it's a challenge. So I wish that there had been a better, more functionable heel that could have worked. Or, even the note that Rue gave, which is nice to hear from RuPaul, like a boot cover or something, something that would have just looked more cohesive. So I agree with that note. Again, I don't have an issue with the fabrics or the aesthetic of it all. I don't understand the kind of, like, I don't know what these are, stirrup things that are on Kitty, but I think she looks fine. I think that the height difference was hilarious when they came out, but at the end of the day, I think that they did fine. I think that they accomplished it, and Kitty looks good, and she seemed comfortable, and she seemed like she was having a good time. Jessica looks gorgeous, so yeah. I really, really, really like this red lip on Jessica, and even the nails I'm getting into now. The red on the nails, the red and black. I loved it. So I think that they look great. I wanted to like Jimbo and Miss Delicious's look too. I'm not gonna say her name. It's the S. It's the S word. I also don't really use that word. But her last name is Delicious. So Jimbo and Miss Delicious. I wanted to like it. Obviously, we had the challenge where Miss Delicious didn't want to do the clown look, so fine. But I mean, it's just not great. I also really didn't even like Miss Delicious's makeup. Like when Jimbo revealed it in the workroom, I was just like, I guess I've never really gotten into Jimbo's makeup. It's not bad or anything, but it's not the most like beat face of it all, So I guess in terms of what she can give Miss Delicious, this was it, but I didn't love it. And the hair was the best part, right? But the dresses were a no for me. Like, it just didn't give. I wish, honestly, I'm really wishing I could have seen what the clown look was that Jimbo had planned, but obviously we weren't going to get that. And it's just like the most simplest of the dress, the most simplest of the heel, the most simplest of the makeup, and the weirdest nude illusion on these bras under these simple dresses, and then we get the most of the va voom in the hair and Jimbo's nails. So maybe Miss Delicious's nails as well, but I'm really not clocking them that well. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't exciting at all. So Candy and Cookie Muse obviously did the best by far. My only note when they came out was that I wish that Cookie's makeup was more close to Candy's, because Candy looks stunning even with the like her lash, the what she did with her lashes, you can barely tell in this picture. But what she did in her lashes, she just looked amazing. Even with the time given, because they painted the ladies and got them together first, and then they had obviously limited amount of time to get themselves together. So typically you would expect, and typically this does happen, the lady for the challenge would typically, or whoever for the challenge would typically look better than the queen. But it wasn't that in this case. And not Cookie doesn't look bad at all, not by far. But Candy's makeup is just better to me. Candy looks better to me regardless, to be honest. Like, which is, I guess it's fine, it's her challenge, but, Cookie's a part of it too. I guess I would agree with Michelle's note that the dress was ill-fitting. When Cookie did come out, I was thinking like, okay, something's a little off in comparison to Candy, but I hadn't clocked that it was the fit of the dress. But as I'm looking for it, I guess that could be it. It is an kind of an awkward length, I guess, as compared to how it fits. It just feels weird, like almost, but it's not terrible at all. It's fine. But yeah, I think my biggest note is the makeup, but they look great. And I would also say like this is the most, it's not like the biggest concept in the world, right? And these are looks that Candy brought with her, so it was obviously pre-planned. But I would say that this is the most exciting of the three and the most cohesive of the three, and they look the best. So I definitely will go with that. Spoiler alert, Candy won, and I would have to agree with that. I think that Candy did the best. It obviously made me nervous because there's only three of them, right? So whoever's not in the top is in the bottom. And now we've got a bottom two of Jessica and Jimbo. And it's up to Candy now to choose who goes home. So, there's obviously a lot of mystique in this, and like oh my god, suspense in this, because it's like, what is Candy gonna do? She's kind of been giving wild card edit as it pertains to like voting and like what she thinks and how she's gonna do it, and it's obvious that Jimbo is a threat. So there could have been tons of foreshadowing, because we've been talking about it all season, and there was this drama with Heidi of did Candy say she wanted to send Jimbo home, like what is the tea, right? So at the end of the day, I was genuinely worried, and I genuinely didn't know who she was going to send home. So that was fun to watch. It's always fun to watch things like that. But I'm glad at the end of the day that Candy chose to go by track record. And, Jessica was eliminated. I could take a step back and talk about the lip sync, but I was purposely trying to skip over it, but I'll give y'all some context. First of all, I'm a Beyonce girl down, so I'm a Destiny's Child girl down because they came first. Always have been. And even to this day, like Jumpin' Jumpin' is like the last call for alcohol song for me and my best friends. Like anytime before we would go out and we're like pre-gaming, the last song we want to hear, and we're like, last call, what's the last call song we want to hear? Jumpin' Jumpin' is the go-to because it's a hit. So I'm thoroughly excited to hear that. Priyanka comes out. I didn't watch Priyanka's season, but I'm familiar with Priyanka and I've seen Priyanka perform, and she's sickening. So I was excited to see that. That lip sync was not jumping at all. It wasn't great at all. So no Sade. I love Candy. I love Priyanka, but it kind of like, I was wondering, I'm like, okay, did they have to film this lip sync maybe like 3 times, and the girls were tired by this time that they did it? Because it just, I didn't understand what type of, like, I'm like, does this song not touch their spirit? I don't know how not, but okay. So when there was a winner and it was Priyanka, I'm like, okay, like I really didn't see there being a winner. And at the end of the day, the lip sync was pointless because at the end of the day, the rules had been given. Candy was gonna have to send somebody who should go home regardless. I think it was funny like watching them do that, and they're like doing the fake surprise and all that stuff, whatever. whatever. That was funny, but the lip sync could have gone. So Candy chooses for Jessica Wilde to go home. I genuinely was like tearing up when she was leaving. As I've said before, like I'm not familiar with Jessica Wilde like from her season or anything like that because I didn't watch season 2. But in watching her on All Stars, and like I said before, what I like about All Stars is seeing older queens that I'm not familiar with and growing to love them and growing to love their drag. And I really did grow to love Jessica Wilde. I think that she did amazing. And it was fun to see her, and I will be excited to see her in the future, like go see her perform or do a show or whatever. But I would have to agree, out of those three, I would have to agree with what the top two ended up being with Candy and Jimbo. And I think that Candy made the right choice and a fair choice, which Jessica also acknowledged. Like she felt like it was a fair choice. She's like, I'm a fair girl, and I feel like that was a fair choice to have been made. So I'm excited to see them in the top two. I am a little bit confused about what we're going to see next episode with all the ladies coming back for the Fame Game and them doing like a talent show or whatever. But I think it should be interesting. I think it should be exciting. And then, yeah, from what I've seen in the sneak preview, those ladies are going to be choosing the winner, which is similar to what happened. What was that? I want to say it was All Stars. I don't know. I'm so bad with numbers, but the one where Trixie won, where they chose the winner. So that'll be exciting too to see the ladies choose the winner. And yeah, so I enjoyed the episode. I am excited to see what happens next, and it's so hard. Like even talking about it now is hard because I love, 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 love Candy, but I want Jimbo to win so bad. But I hate saying it out loud, but that's how I feel. So yeah, and I will see y'all next time. No Fame Games, obviously, because this is a design challenge. So that's all we got. See ya.